Alrighty, guys, do me a big favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share to help out with the algorithm. Let's get into the video. Yes, you read the title. Will Superman gross more than Man of Steel at the box office? Will James Gunn Superman gross more than Man of Steel at the box office? I always like to put James Gunn name first because I don't want people to think the 1978 version. No, I'm talking about the James Gunn version. I'm gonna give you my answer on why it will not, and we'll go really in depth with it. So, I saw the film. I wasn't a fan of it. Didn't like it. I just still think Man of Steel is slightly a little bit better than it. More so because it's a Superman film. That's all. A lot of people say, "Oh, you hate it because it's not Man of Steel." No, I just don't like it because it's not a Superman film. It's Superman and his amazing friends. Like, if you really look at the film, it's trying to be Iron Man 2, and it's trying to be a commercial to new James Gunn DC universe. That's fine and dandy, but you still have to establish a new Superman. I think the problem is James Gunn wanted to do what he wanted to do. Warner Brothers told him to establish a universe, and then you have the DC fans that, are like, just letting people know, just give us a good Superman film. That's all we want, a good Superman film. So, with that being said, here's all the reasons why it's not going to make more than Man of Steel. Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four is going to really take it out. I'm not going to say he's going to take it out behind the shed to put a bullet to his head. Nothing on that level, but it's going to take it out on a way where it's only making it just made $400 million. That's good. If it was by itself. I said this before and I said this again, and I think I said this time blue in the face. Why would you put a film this is a new film into the new universe? Why would you put this film against Jurassic World and Fantastic Four? If I said Jurassic World, forgive me, I mean Fantastic Four. Why would you do that? Why would you put it between a Marvel film that usually makes over $500 to $600 million? Lately it hasn't, but Marvel has always been that machine. Then don't even start with Jurassic World. These fools make money left and right. You put a dinosaur or something, it's going to make money. Why would you do that? I mean, David Zaslav needs to be slapped in the face for this. Because if I was him, I'd be worried. Now you're probably sitting there like, oh, well, we're not doing well over internationally. No crap, man. They love the dinosaurs. And they love Marvel to a certain extent. But those dinosaurs, I kept telling people that dinosaur, you do not want to sleep on the dinosaurs. And they sleep, and then soon they now see the dinosaur for what it really is. They're like, okay, they're not playing around. No crap. All right, moving on from there. I blame Warner Brothers, again, like I said earlier, for the scheduling. Because Warner Brothers need to figure out the scheduling. Putting it in July just because Barbie did well, that doesn't work. They really thought they were going to get Oppenheimer on their hands. It does not work. Oppenheimer worked because you have a film that's like a biopic about the atomic bomb. And then you have Barbie. It's pretty much girls' version of Transformers. It was one storm. It caught wind. That was it. This film should have been put somewhere where it had no competition, so it had the room to survive. I said this before, and I said this again. And I'm not even coming as a James Gunn hater. I'm just coming as a realistic person who's been keeping up with the box office over the years, knowing that this does not do anybody any favors. Why you think they moved Batman v Superman away from Civil War? Do you really think those two together would have made the money they did? No, they were smart enough to know, let's move it so we can get all the money. And it worked out. Granted, Batman v Superman was not a great film, but it made the money it needed to make. Civil War made way more money than Batman v Superman, but it made the money that it needed to make. If they were together, they wouldn't have made that money. They would cancel each other out. It's rocket science. It's not that damn hard, people. Yes, Marvel's not doing well, but that doesn't mean you can go in there and try to stomp on it. DC is a dead brain. You have to revitalize it. So move it somewhere so it can be revitalized. You can't move it where somewhere else is trying to. It's just, I could go on and on. And just talk about the release date. And understand the international market. Superman has not been a strong international person. However, when you combine it with a Batman, it does well. When you combine it with something else, it does well. Superman, if you were going to do Superman, that's why you go full in with Superman. But the problem is, they were trying to make a Superman film on top of a world-building film. On top of they were doing too much with this film and not make a great Superman film. I just finished watching Aquaman. I got a video planned for that. Aquaman has done very well internationally. Do you know why? Because somewhere in China, they love the underwater sea, the adventures, there's life outside if it's space-wise or something like that. They like that type of stuff. And it does very well. So it's one of these things where you have to look at the international market and it's not very good with Superman. I promise you, put Superman with Aquaman, that thing would have sold some money. But you have to understand your market. They don't understand the market. And especially the international market, they just don't. And I think it's buying them in the butt. Now, again, some people say, well, if you give it a chance, it might do. No, they should have sat down. They should have done a lot more analyzing, understanding what the fans want. And I think they would have got what they wanted. But again, it is what it is, So what do I know? But clearly the box office is showing you. So I do not think it's going to surpass Man of Steel because you got Fantastic Four coming out. That's going to take some legs off of it for a bit. And do I think it's going to surpass the Batman? Please. I'm laughing. It will not. It was never going to surpass that anyway. But that is a question, though. Because if you notice, James Gunn and all them say, oh, we don't need to make $700 million. Yeah, you do. Oh, no, we don't need to make $600 million. We need to make $500 million. Like, what were we living in? They keep pushing it back because they know they're not going to get the number that people expecting it to get. So you've been telling fans for all these years that they have to get this certain amount of number in the box office, and now you want to change it because it fits to your narrative. Where was this narrative for Man of Steel? Where this narrative for Batman v Superman? Do not do that because that's going to piss me off. Because I'm not a big fan of Batman v Superman. I'm a fan of Man of Steel, but I'm not a big fan of Batman v Superman. But for y'all to do stuff like that, that's messed up, that's asinine, and you're trying to fit your narrative. If you would have stuck to your guns, you would have probably been in a better position than you are today. But no, you pivot, as Warner Brothers does with everything now, and they lost the plot, they lost the money, they lost the fans. And that's all I have to say. And I'll let my outro end it for you. You guys have a Johnson day.